We visited with Wayne Seidel from the Lake County Extension and Soil and Water Conservation District in Two Harbors, Minnesota, to talk about the rain garden they installed by the courthouse in 2010. We asked Wayne about cost and maintenance issues, what he learned from doing this project, and whether he was satisfied and would recommend these practices to others.
Back when the gravel parking lot was going to be repaved, our county board and highway engineer and myself got together and talked about alternative ways to handle some of that water runoff. And one of the ideas brought up was the idea of a rain garden. So we looked into that pretty seriously, did some initial design work, and discovered that yes, this will work here. We can capture that runoff, pre-treat it, take out any pollutants, kind of that first flush, if you will, from rainfalls, and then it'll actually then decant into the storm drain system and then into Lake Superior. We knew we'd get a lot of walk-by traffic, and that's why how it was done and how it was signed was really important, and also that it was aesthetically attractive because it was going to be really a focal point in the middle of kind of this open parking area. Cost is a factor, and that was considered because our county board was likely going to be paying for the lion's share of this, and as it turned out, we were very fortunate because the Soil and Water Conservation District in Lake County provided $9,000 in cost share. The county board ended up just under $6,000 into this, and then we had another $2,750 contribution from the Lake Superior Coastal Program, an additional $3,000 from the Two Harbors Area Fund. So again, lots of partners helping to defer some of those costs. So cost was a factor, but yet we also knew with that public benefit, really cleaning that water, as well as showing the public in an educational fashion that this was really going to be a good fit. If anyone thinks that maintenance is done once the construction is completed and it's planted, that's incorrect, because you have to have maintenance weeding, and you also have to have a fair amount of moisture on it that first growing season. Watering and weeding are probably the main things. An interesting sidelight is that wildlife are also a side benefit, and this last spring, just before we did our weeding, we actually had a fawn born in the rain garden. So it's a really neat story. So when we talk about wildlife value and habitat, you think about butterflies and amphibians and smaller critters. But again, even larger mammals can benefit from them. We are very satisfied with how it's performing to date. As you can see, the vegetation is coming up really well, so it's doing its job of holding on to nutrients, absorbing those, taking up some of that moisture and wicking it out. So it is performing well. Ours is set up so that most of the sheet flow off of the parking lot comes into the alleyway and is channeled on the north side of the alley and then bumps or decants into the rain garden itself. I've never seen it overflow. And so again, it seems to be working just fine because there is an under drain that takes that treated or really cleaned water and then puts it into the Two Harbors storm drain system, which then outlets into Lake Superior. We had to work through things like, well, okay, if we're going to be plowing that parking lot, can they use that as a place to deposit snow? And we said, well, no, you really can't, because we don't want to inhibit its function in that following spring. Again, the importance of the regular weeding beyond that first year. And once those native plants that we've got in there now really start to take hold that second and third year, they really tend to outcompete most of the weeds anyway. Be committed to the maintenance and follow-up that's required. Have your design well in hand so that it's going to be of a size that's going to treat the water that's coming into it. So in other words, properly design it. And that, probably most importantly, they work. I was not a believer that, especially in a heavy red clay soil area like the city of Two Harbors, that rain gardens could effectively work. But with the under drain system, we've proven that, in fact, they do, and do quite well. Based on our experience, I think they do have a place, and I think if you bring them into a bigger plan of stormwater management altogether, I think that's a real plus. The key to this rain garden and its success was the multiple partners that we had really in working on it.
For more information about stormwater, water quality, and the practices described in this video, visit lakesuperiorstreams.org. We thank Minnesota's Lake Superior Coastal Program and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for supporting this project.